Ladies and gentlemen, first years, welcome again to another video. The how many video? I don't remember anymore. Well, let's go. This is section 5.1.2, so the second part of 5.1. All right, so what do we already know about plants? Well, plants have different kinds of organs. They have leaves and they have flowers, they have stems and roots, and all of them do transportation. So everywhere there's a transport system in it. And those transport systems, they are vessels. Vessels also in your body, like blood vessels in your body. And you could say air vessels, like air tube, your windpipe is also a vessel. And plants also do have vessels. And you might remember from the first bit about plants that in the leaves there are two kinds of vessels. There are vessels which transport things that the plant made itself, and there are vessels which transport things that the plant didn't make themselves. Those vessels have names. The one that transports things that the plant made itself is called phloem, and the one which transport the stuff that it took from the soil is called xylem. Okay. So xylem vessels, you could say, start their way all the way down in the roots, in the root hairs, where water and minerals, both water and minerals, is taken up into the xylem vessels. And then it's transported through the xylem vessels all the way up to the leaves, and in the leaves it is either used for photosynthesis, the process in which plants make nutrients, or it is released as water, condensed water, again in the air as evaporation. Phloem vessels, they transport the stuff that leaves make. And what do they make? Well, they make nutrients, and mainly in the form of glucose. It's a kind of sugar. They transport it everywhere where it's needed. So sometimes it's needed in the flowers to make them beautiful. Sometimes it's needed in the fruits to make them sweet and juicy. Sometimes it's needed for maintenance in the roots, so it's needed everywhere. And they transport it through the phloem vessels. When you look at the stem, those vessels are really tiny, small in diameter. And they are grouped together as a vascular bundle. You can see it down here. There is let us zoom in a bit on this drawing. And you see there are vascular bundles where the water flows in different directions, it says. All right. And notice something else, that those vascular bundles, they are in rings, and they're on the, let's say, the outside of the stem. The phloem are most on the outer side, and the xylems are on the most inner side of a vascular bundle. That's always the case in a stem. So in a stem, phloem vessels on the outside, xylem vessels on the inside. It doesn't matter if you have herbaceous plants or woody plants. In woody plants even, you could say that the xylem vessels are in the wood and the phloem vessels are in the bark, the bast van een boom. All right, so let's go to the next page. Here we are, figure 11. You see a specimen from a stem where the vascular bundles are colored. So this complex here is a vascular bundle, and the phloem vessels are colored dark purple, and the xylem vessels are rings with white in it. That white is actually space, so there is space inside where the water travels upwards. The phloem vessels, they look dark. They are darkly colored because it's not just a tube or just space. It's actually cells which are in between, which transport the stuff that has to be transported. Well, okay, so what happens inside a plant? The water and minerals is taken up by the root hairs through the lateral roots into the main root, and when it does so, it transports it in the xylem vessels. So the xylem vessels are inside of the stem, and it goes all the way up until it reaches a leaf, and inside the leaf water is needed for a few things. It could be needed to pump up those cells to make them firm. It can also be needed to combine it with carbon dioxide and sunlight to form glucose and oxygen. And if it's not needed, there's a constant flow of water in a plant, so plants constantly flow their water up. When it's not needed, the stomata open, and the stomata then evaporate the water out of the leaf. So you can see that as well if you put a plastic bag around a branch and you wait and you let it hang in the sun for a while, and you will see at the end of the day, or even after 2 hours or so, you will see there's water inside because all the water came from the roots, evaporated from the leaves. All right, so let's zoom out a bit, and yeah, that's about that. Here it says, why do trees shed their leaves in winter? So why do they have why are they green, lushly green in summer, and they become red and yellow and beautiful colors in autumn and then drop their leaves? Well, maintaining leaves costs a lot of energy for a tree, for every plant, and maintaining all those all the structures in the mesophyll, it will take a lot of water. In winter, you might not think this, but the winters are the driest seasons that we have in year. So it's not the summer, but it's the winter, which is really dry. And if it's really dry, then a lot of water easily evaporates from the leaves, so the plant easily dries out. In winter, there's also less sunlight. So no sunlight means no photosynthesis, means no production of nutrients. So it only costs the plant energy to stay green in winter. So what do? Well, they either take their chloroplasts from the leaves and put them in their stems, or they turn them into plastids. And those plastids, that's where they store their excrements, their waste. And that waste is stored in the leaves, and that's what makes the leaves such beautiful yellow, red, orange, or brown. So actually what you're seeing hanging on the tree in autumn is plant shit. Yeah, we love to see plant shit. It looks beautiful to us. All right, so then there is an abscission layer formed. It's a cork layer, and the cork layer is formed between the stem and the leaf, and eventually the leaf drops because there's no connection anymore. And if you look closely at the stem, around here you can see the leaf scar with the vascular bundles in it. Okay, I already told you a little bit about plastids in the last story. Now some more about it. Well, plastids in Dutch you could say zijn corals. So we have different kinds, and you already have heard of the chromoplast. The chromoplasts are no, you've already heard of the chloroplast. And the chloroplasts are the green granules, the groene korrels. That's why they call in Dutch the bladgroen korrels. And in English they call it the difficult name, they're chloroplast. So the chloroplast, the green ones, they take care of photosynthesis, which means that they combine carbon dioxide, water, and light into food, glucose, and oxygen. There's also other types of plastids, other types of corals, and the other one is chromoplast. And chromoplast can have different colors. For example, in carrots, the chromoplasts are orange, right? So there are different kinds of chromoplasts. And there's also a third type, which is called starch granule, or a starch plast, you could say. Starch is in Dutch is zetmeel, and that stuff that is has a lot of energy. So, for example, potatoes are full of starch, and also pasta is full of starch, and this stuff delivers a lot of energies. So, if plants in winter or in autumn or so want to store the nutrients that the leaves made, they change the glucose into starch, and the starch is then put in, for example, the potato, or in the carrots, or in the roots, or in the beets, but also in things like beans and bananas. So, and if you eat that, you get a lot of energy from it. So that's why bananas give such a lot of energy when you eat them, because they're full of starch. And potatoes as well, and pasta as well. All right, so that's why there are also different colors and not only green plants. So let's move over to the last page here. And here it says what you have to remember for this section. It's about the parts of the plant, cell parts, why plants grow upright, how transport is reached all the way to the top, why it sheds their leaf, and the difference between chloro, chromo, and starch granules. All right. So what I've taught you today is, let's move back a bit. I told you today about vessels, and vessels are for transport. There's one for xylem, which is on the outside. One is xylem, which is on the outside of the stem, and phloem on the inside. Xylem transports everything that a plant doesn't make themselves. Phloem transports everything that a plant makes themselves. When we go to the next page, you can see vascular bundles in real life. And here in figure 12, they tell you when water is taken up into a root, how it is transported into a xylem vessel. It goes all the way up to the leaves, where it's either used for photosynthesis, used to pump up the cells in the mesophyll, or it is released as water when the stomata open and close. In this part, it's told why trees shed their leaves. And in this part, we talk a bit about plastids. Right, thank you for your attention. For now, for this lesson, I would say you'll be able to fill out question 13 until question 21. You will find them page 58 and 59 in your Workbook B. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a pleasant day tomorrow, today, whenever you watch this. And already thank you for your epic comments. Bye-bye.